We are less than 3 weeks away from college football hitting us right in the face and us sitting down on our couches or sitting on our beds or even just standing around with our phones in our hands watching Nebraska and Northwestern kick off in Dublin, Ireland. I can't wait. I honestly cannot wait, and I am so excited, pumped, whatever term you want to use, to cover the college football season that we're having in 2022 with you all from the Big Ten perspective that this channel has carried and will always carry. Before I get started, I want to announce that this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I am going live with Corn Crazed on YouTube. Corn Crazed is a pretty big Nebraska channel, makes awesome content, and the live stream will be on his channel. I am 99.9% sure. I'd actually say 100% sure. So I'm going to link his channel down in my description. If you haven't heard of him, make sure to check him out. Subscribe to his channel, hit the notification bell so you can get notified not only when he releases his own amazing content, but also get notified when him and I go live. I'm so excited to collaborate with him. He's a good person, awesome channel. I've been watching his channel for a few months now, and I am excited to collaborate with him and collaborate with other college football channels in the future. We're going to be talking about Nebraska football specifically, but also talk about some Big Ten football too. This video is just covering Nebraska and talking about the best outcome, the worst outcome, reviewing my prediction, so on and so forth. And I think as we get closer and closer to the beginning of the regular season, I'm going to do this. So Nebraska is just the first of, I think, what is going to be a pretty solid series of videos covering what I think are going to be the top echelon of Big Ten teams, the top tier of Big Ten teams. So Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Minnesota, Purdue, maybe some others will probably get their own videos with this exact topic in mind, talking about the best outcome, the worst outcome, and also reviewing my prediction for the team. Nebraska last year went 3-9, and it was a very painful 3-9 year, not just for Nebraska fans, but for anyone who watched Big Ten football. Because of the fact that later in the year Nebraska was an underdog and they had this daunting schedule, many would find themselves cheering for the Huskers, myself included. In games against Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska would always perform well enough to give me hope that they could pull off an upset. And in reality, they could have pulled all 3 of those upsets. Now, not all 3 in a row. They very likely couldn't have gone 3-0 in their November slate, but they could have pulled one of them off. They were in the Wisconsin game. They were in the Iowa game. They were in the Ohio State game. But they kept tripping over themselves. They kept stepping on their own shoelace. They kept walking with 2 left feet in a fashion that I had never seen before. It was awe-inspiring to a certain degree. You know, the same team that played against Michigan in the second half, that Nebraska team, where Adrian Martinez, minus the final drive, was a star all game. Ramir Johnson was torching my Wolverines on wheel routes. In the second half against Ohio State, where the defense for the Huskers stepped up, picking off Stroud, regaining some momentum when the offense was dead for most of that half. The defense, they bent sometimes, but they never broke. It was 17-10 at the half in favor of Ohio State, and the Huskers only allowed 3 field goals that entire second half. They put up a fight against the number 1 offense in the nation. The problem was the offense couldn't get anything started, and in the Michigan game, the problem for the Huskers was turnover at the end by the offense, but also the defense not being able to stop Michigan's run game, not being able to stop Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum at times when their offense was rolling. So that was 2021 for Nebraska, a game where, as Scott Frost said, we were competitive in every game, but they couldn't finish. They could not finish. And that is going to be the main thing that determines how well Nebraska does this year. Can they be mentally tough? Can they have intelligent playmakers, and can their coaching staff devise game plans to close out games? And I think that if they have those two things and more, you get a very impressive outcome. The best possible outcome I see for the Huskers is 11-1. Now, how likely is this? Very, very unlikely, I would say. And what benefits Nebraska this year compared to previous years is their schedule. It isn't as hard as it has been. You no longer have Ohio State, which is often going to be, for anyone who has the Buckeyes scheduled, an automatic glaring red L on the schedule. You no longer have that. Nebraska hosts Oklahoma. They host Minnesota. They host Wisconsin. Those are very solid teams. Wisconsin is a top 25, top 15 team for many people. Oklahoma is top 15 to top 10 for many people. They were ranked top 10 in the coaches poll. And Minnesota is being viewed by many as a dark horse contender for the Big Ten West. Yes, Nebraska plays at Michigan, but Michigan isn't being viewed as this unanimous top 4 team. I have them as a top 4 team, but I'm higher on Michigan than most are, and there are reasons to be skeptical about Michigan. It's a tough road game, but hosting Oklahoma, hosting Minnesota, hosting Wisconsin, that sets Nebraska up for some success and for some opportunities in big games. Nebraska also has a tough road matchup at Iowa, tough road matchup at Purdue, but those 3 road games, I would say, are some of the only tough road games. If Nebraska is able to just utilize their talent and just further improve in at least one category, especially mental toughness, they should win at Rutgers. They should win on the neutral site versus Northwestern. Those two teams do not have a lot of talent. They don't look to be very good, if just average in 2022. They look to be pretty bad football teams. There are only 4 true road games for the Huskers, 1 neutral site. The rest are at home. 7 home games. Strong trench play, great chemistry between the staff and the players and between everyone involved on the team. Disciplined special teams, probably not just disciplined, but great special teams, and Whipple's offense being borderline elite. Casey Thompson, Anthony Grant, you put them behind a high-functioning, highly efficient, and competent offensive line that will include Teddy Prohaska, probably include Turner Corcoran, possibly as a guard is what I have him projected as. Also, if tight end Travis Vokalek steps up and is more consistent and plays like Austin Allen did last year, that with Whipple's schematics, you're looking at a great offense there. And I know that, again, this is the best possible outcome. This isn't my prediction. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But I look at this Nebraska team. I look at where I view them, not just on offense, but on defense, with Garrett Nelson, Ochaun Mathis. You also have Caleb Tanner is kind of that, he's probably not going to be a starting edge player, but he'll be involved in the rotation. He's been viewed as impressive in fall camp. So the pass rush aspect on the D-line, the linebacker core with Luke Reimer and Nick Henrich returning, the 2 leading tacklers on the team from last year, Reimer especially being impressive. Secondary, there are some questions there with guys who are returning. Deontay Williams, Cam Taylor-Britt, and others did depart, but you have playmakers there. Wide receiver, you also have playmakers there. Trey Palmer came in through the portal. Omar Manning, there was not a lot heard of him during summer workouts, but there's been stuff heard about him in fall camp, so some news about him was pretty good. You also have Alante Brown. You have Marcus Washington, I believe is his name, from Texas coming in. So you have talent. And Nebraska has always had talent under Scott Frost. The question is, of course, can it be utilized? With Whipple's track record, Mickey Joseph's track record, Donovan Raiola's track record, I think that Nebraska's offense is going to be good. And if it's not just good, but borderline elite, boy oh boy, you can expect even better than my already optimistic prediction. I think the best possible outcome for the Huskers, again, 11-1, 8-1, first in the division. Do I think this is probably good enough to beat Ohio State or beat Michigan or most Big Ten East teams if someone else besides Ohio State wins the East? Do I think it will be good enough to beat them? That's an entirely different story because, again, the East is undefeated in matchups against the West in the Big Ten championship game, but you never know. Let's talk about the worst now. The best at 11-1, the worst at 4-8. And part of the reason I started with Nebraska when making this video is because I think that they're one of the most volatile teams in the Big Ten. They have such a wide range of outcomes, an insanely wide range of outcomes. The only two teams in the West who I think have a worst possible outcome than Nebraska are Northwestern and Illinois, who are supposed to be teams that have losing records next year by most people. So, and that just speaks to the fact that Nebraska under Scott Frost, they have talent. They have had competent staffs at times, at least in theory, especially when Scott Frost started here at Nebraska, but things have just never clicked together, and that they might not click together this year. Abysmal chemistry and culture, that will lead Nebraska to a record like this. Poor special teams play and trench play, that will be the death of Nebraska like it was last year. Adrian Martinez had a career high in sacks despite drastically improving in multiple categories, including passer rating and average yards per pass. Adrian Martinez improved last year. He was a much better player than people gave him credit for, in my opinion, partially because, Samori Toure was there, and the talent overall, because of Frost's better recruiting classes, was showing through, but offensive line play just held him back. It broke him. And then special teams. You don't think special teams broke Nebraska's morale? You drive down, get in the red zone or close to the red zone, and your kicker misses more field goals than he makes them? It's crazy. It's demoralizing. And to Nebraska's credit and to Scott Frost's credit, they brought in Timmy Bleekrode and Brian Buschini, kicker and punter, respectively. They've brought them in from the world of the FCS into the FBS. They performed highly at the FCS level, and I think they will do so again at the FBS level, but you never know. Also, Bill Bush, being brought back to Nebraska where he coached beforehand, he has been brought as Nebraska's special teams coordinator. But poor special teams play and trench play, that will lead Nebraska right back to where it was last year, which will probably result in Scott Frost being terminated after the 2022 season, if indeed the worst possible outcome happens. A poverty run game would be another reason why Nebraska would fail to go bowling. Nebraska under Scott Frost with that no-huddle spread option attack has always loved to run the football. The problem was it could be rarely established. When it was established, like against Northwestern last year, for example, it was beautiful, and Nebraska would just dominate. They'd dominate anyone who they could establish the run against. The problem was, against any competent opponent or any opponent with a good defense, they couldn't establish the run. And Mark Whipple coming here, he loved to pass at Pittsburgh, so I don't anticipate that Nebraska's going to be running the ball as much, but they need to run when they have to. And knowing that Scott Frost is still going to be involved in the offense, collaborating with Mark Whipple, and that Nebraska seems to want to have an identity around running the football, Nebraska's going to have to run the football, or at least establish a decent run game to go along with what I think and what should be a pretty decent, at worst, to solid pass game. But with the offensive line and how inconsistent it has been, and with the injuries that occurred at running back last year, it's possible that the run game could not improve much, honestly. The defense taking a step back, this is probably the most realistic one out of all of them. Because, the run game, Anthony Grant was added from junior college. On special teams, again, Brian Buschini, and Timmy Bleekrode. The transfer portal has been used to solve a plethora of Nebraska's issues. The offensive line, Donovan Raiola was brought in, and Norodin Nuli, him being out due to a failed drug test, that really hurts, but getting in a solid coach who's been at the pro level, and I think that will just really help. There are questions around the offensive line, do not get me wrong, but I think the defense taking a step back might actually be the most realistic one here, outside of possibly abysmal chemistry and culture, and that's because just how much they lost on defense last year. You lost JoJo Doman, you lost Cam Taylor-Britt, you lost Deontay Williams, you lost guys to the portal too, depth pieces whose names currently escape me, but especially on the defensive line. And I don't see that Nebraska's defense is going to be, I think it's going to be a great unit. I think that it has the potential from a pass defense element because of the pass rush with Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner, Ochaun Mathis, and also Travis Fisher having a reputation as a great cornerback and secondary coach. It could be great from a pass defense element, but the run defense, there are questions to answer, and with a good amount of departing production from last year's defensive unit, the defense could likely take a step back. And all those things, if all these negatives combine into one, Nebraska very well could have that ugly 4-8 record and finish last in the Big Ten West. Don't believe me? Look at the past 4 years under Scott Frost. He's entering year 5, hasn't had a winning season yet, and the time is now. He has to win big. I don't think going 6-6 and getting a bowl win and going 7-6 is enough. I don't think just finishing just above 500 is enough. Just doing the bare minimum isn't enough. And that's why Scott Frost, I think, is going to win big. He's not going to go home. I think Nebraska's going to go 10-2, 7-2. They're going to win their division. I think that game against Minnesota essentially decides the winner of the West. These two teams, Nebraska, of course, getting better on the offensive line, having Anthony Grant, Ramir Johnson, Gabe Irvin Jr., Jacquez Yant, that running back duo with Casey Thompson's leg ability, and what I think is going to be a much improved offensive line against a Minnesota front seven that has a lot of departing production. That plus home field advantage is really going to help the Huskers against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I think that Nebraska is a top 10 team, actually. I have them ranked as number 10 in the nation. I'm very high on them. There are moments where I question why I am so high on them, but looking at their incoming talent via the portal, the coaches that they added on offense, and their offense has been the most inconsistent and, outside of special teams, abysmal part of the Scott Frost era. It has never reached its 2018 level, which is almost sad to say, while the defense has consistently improved and doesn't necessarily need fixing on the staff. So Scott Frost going out and making big hires, going out and making big additions via the portal, I think is going to pay big dividends. Strong trench play, culture, and chemistry, I think, are going to be the three main pillars of Nebraska, not even including their roster improvements, their staff improvements, and all of that stuff. Because, again, not a lot of offensive line guys were added to Nebraska via the portal. Kevin Williams, I think, is going to be the one transfer on that offensive line to start. He's a pretty solid guy. I think his Hunter Anthony was the other one from Oklahoma State, and he looks to be a backup. And I think in the trenches, not just on the offense, but on the defensive line as well, there's going to be improvement. I think culturally, Scott Frost taking a step back from being the sole offensive play caller and special teams having a dedicated position coach, it's going to help Scott Frost to be more of, I think, a leader, to step into that leadership role. And I think having a tough guy like Mark Whipple, an NFL mind, a guy who's had experience in the NFL, in Donovan Raiola, and Mickey Joseph, who has worked with championship-level talent, who won a national title at LSU, those guys will help with team chemistry and culture. and all of those things. And I think that those three things, the trench play, especially the culture and chemistry, those three things will make or break Nebraska's season. And I think all of those are going to drastically improve compared to last year. They're going to be good. They're going to be solid. And the team, when shaken, will not flinch this year. That's my prediction. The defense has a great pass rush. I think that with Garrett Nelson and Ochaun Mathis, Garrett Nelson leading the team in sacks this year, Nelson having another highly talented edge guy on the other side is going to wreak havoc on defenses, because now you can't just focus on Garrett Nelson. You have to focus on Ochaun Mathis, maybe Caleb Tanner if he finds a way to get into the defensive scheme too. He's also used as an edge player. So the defense, their pass rush stepping up would be great. They had around 20 sacks last year, not even 2 sacks average per game, which if you want to have a fantastic defense, want to win big games, you have to be good at rushing the passer. And I think Nebraska is going to improve there. I also think special teams are going to be first class. They're not just going to be disciplined. They're not just going to be good. They're going to be first class. Trey Palmer at LSU, fantastic return man, returned a punt and a kick for a touchdown in his career. Brian Buschini, FCS Punter of the Year for Montana. Timmy Bleekrode, a very solid kicker from Furman. And Bill Bush, a guy who in 2019 helped LSU safeties play on a fantastic defense led by Dave Aranda. And by fantastic, I mean it did its job. Their secondary was good. Their D-line was good. Their linebacker core was good. It wasn't 2021 Georgia's defense, but it helped LSU win them a national title. It was a clutch defense. Their offense, of course, very, very elite, possibly one of the best offenses in the nation, but you cannot forget, look at Ohio State last year. Best offense in the nation, but when you don't have a good defense, it shows. You need both a good offense and defense to win championships. And Bill Busch played on that same team. Well, not played, but coached for that same team like Mickey Joseph did. And both played a part in winning 2019 LSU and Ed Orgeron that one national title. That one team with a 15-0 record that was dominant and fantastic in every game it played. And Bill Busch, coaching those special teams players, coaching that unit, I think is going to bring them forward in a fantastic way. And all of this, I think, is going to result in Scott Frost being extended. He's going to be extended. I think that he is going to earn his place as Nebraska's head football coach. And I think that it's going to be a great year for Nebraska. I think that Frost this preseason, has shown that he's willing to change, firing his friends in Matt Lubick, and we did it before with Troy Walters, but also Greg Austin, Ryan Held, who played with him at Nebraska, willing to fire some of his friends, bring in some newer, tougher, younger energy, and really put his head down and work. And I think you saw it a little bit at Big Ten Media Days, skipping straight to questions, acknowledging his own mistakes, acknowledging that he played a factor in the 3-9 record, but also looking somewhat optimistic and looking pretty confident the whole way through. So Nebraska just keeping their head down, adding talent via the portal, getting in new staff members. I've talked about this several times, but I think that it is going to bear fruit this season. And that's all I have to say for this video. If you like this video, if you like the whole idea of this video talking about the team's best and worst possible outcome and also reviewing my prediction, let me know down in the comments below, because I plan making these videos for different teams like Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State, and other Big Ten teams as well. So let me know if you liked this kind of video format, and I will try and reply to as many comments as I possibly can. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and comment your thoughts on this video and on Nebraska football in 2022 down below. And if you're listening via Spotify, make sure to follow the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.